Hello, this is Chris Vandergriff. Wrestled at University of Tennessee. I was a senior in high school when Ethan was a senior in college. So in high school, I got to go over and watch him wrestle some. I'm actually from Knoxville, so I was a hometown boy. First story I want to share with you is my freshman year. We were both industrial arts majors, and Ethan, he was in a class that I had my freshman year, which was electricity class. And so first day of class, he went up and talked to the professor and asked him what was the minimum he had to do to make a C in the class. So it kind of surprised the guy. This was a new teacher and actually a Canadian guy. So Ethan told him he would be there every day and, you know, try to do his best, but didn't want to spend a whole lot of time and effort into the class. So every day he would be there and go in the back of the room and do his workout, push-ups, set-ups and stuff while everybody's taking notes for the class. So I thought that was kind of funny. Ethan, he was on about the 8-year plan. After 4 years of wrestling and industrial arts, he was only about a sophomore, I guess. He just took the minimum hours, and his philosophy in college was, I'll just do enough to make a C, don't want to do any more. Our freshman year, the freshman group that I was with, this was the year after Ethan finished his eligibility, so he was the graduate assistant even though he was about 2 years away from graduating. So we were his guinea pigs. Coach Simons assigned all the freshmen to Ethan, and he pretty much was in charge of our training, working out and all that. So I was one of the first of his athletes to actually train. I can remember getting up and doing 6 a.m. workouts, 10 sets of 10 power cleans and chin-ups, even though I couldn't do many. Alright. I remember, probably the most thing I remember about Ethan was that he was a vegetarian, and that was really the first time I'd ever been around a vegetarian. I know he told me once that he had only drank one Coke or soft drink in his life, and he had never tasted a beer, so I thought that was very unusual. When we would go on wrestling trips, if it was time to eat or whatever, we would have to stop at a restaurant that was next to a grocery store, you know, to where Ethan could go and buy stuff to eat because he wouldn't eat stuff at McDonald's or whatever. Another thing I remember about Ethan, I really don't remember what year this was. It was probably my freshman year. I don't really remember, but he got on a kick of eating garlic and made himself garlic milkshakes. And so I can remember we had a match at Stokely Athletic Center, and Ethan was coming around giving everybody pep talks and reeked of garlic and all that. So you can imagine how that went over. He also helped me a lot as a coach once he started coaching at UTC. I was the head coach at Halls High School, which is there in Knoxville. And he came up and did some wrestling clinics for me. The first one that he did, he asked me about what I did as a coach, and I told him, well, I just kind of, you know, we'd get together and drill on some moves and wrestle, and it's kind of like, well, don't you have a practice plan? And I said, no, and so he couldn't really believe that, so he kind of shared some of his philosophies with me as a coach. That kind of helped me get better as a coach and realize, you know, that maybe there was some science to this instead of just getting together and wrestling and all that, and showed me a lot of really good drills that I incorporated into the program. And this was in the late 80s, and probably the very best team that I had was kind of part of that era. In 1990, we ended up second in the state in duels and fifth in the state in the traditional tournament. And a lot of that was due to Ethan's leadership. I had a really good group of guys, but he helped me, you know, with some drills to kind of help train those guys. So Ethan's been a really big influence in my life. I haven't really got to spend much time with him much over the years, but I have tried to stay in touch. One thing that was kind of neat, when my son John, who ended up being a state champion wrestler, this was, I think, before his senior year in high school, we went to a camp, a football camp that they had at Wake Forest. And he was interested in that, not really due to Ethan, just, you know, filled out some questionnaires and got some response. And I told him, well, I think that's where Ethan Reeve is the strength coach at. So, you know, so we kind of pursued that a little bit. And I called Ethan and I told him what we were up to, and he was real accommodating. So while John was at the football camp, it was just a one-day Saturday camp for linemen. So I got to spend all day with Ethan, and he showed me around the weight room, and that was real neat. So that's about it. Thank you very much. Talk at you later.